Okay, this video is not going to be very long, but I feel like it's necessary to say it. Like, here's the thing, sir, I'm not your ex-girlfriend. Let's just stop, make a full pause, and like, here's the thing. Like, I always hear Manifest Steel talk about this, but I just want to put it into like perspective for you guys because the whole thing about like a relationship, like both people have to be involved. You can't just have like a guy being like, that's my girlfriend, and the girl's like, I'm not dating that guy. She could literally just be like fucking him. She could be like just she could just be like a person that he sees at the coffee shop every Thursday. Okay, he could be a coworker. Everyone is having like different perceptions about like all the shit that's happening here. And we have to put all of this into perspective because it takes a lot for like one person, like the girl, to be like, I'm dating him. And then for the guy to also agree, I am dating him. So both people at the exact same time are literally saying, I am dating this other person. That is a relationship. Everything else is like a situationship. That's why we have a literal fucking term for it. We have to have a term for it. It's really sad that we have to have a term for it, but we do. Now you're probably sitting here saying, like, why the fuck is she bringing this up? Why does this matter for her? What is she talking about? The reason that I'm bringing it up is because it's come up for me in my real life. Now I was gonna brush over it or save it for Patreon, but I haven't mustered up the time to like set up my Patreon. So I'm just gonna tell you guys what happened. Basically, there's this guy that I was working with. He was a really nice guy. Like I really liked him. I didn't know shit about like Tennessee, and we went driving a whole bunch of times. This is like work drives. Like we were literally at work, but like he was like the person who was driving, and we drove like all through the country, and it was great. And I saw all these parts of like Tennessee that I'd never seen before, and it was fucking awesome. So there are these times in this portion of like, I don't know, the country that I saw with him that were fucking incredible and that I loved and that I would love to see again. But like, we didn't date. And I just want to be really like particular about that. Like, we weren't dating, we were just coworkers. And so this comes up because he comes into my restaurant like it was about a week and a half ago, and he was in one of my other coworker sections. So I saw him, and I was like, I looked at first, and I was like, oh, is that him? And then I realized it was him, so I went to the table, I greeted him, and he was there with another girl. Now I'm like, this is great. Like, he's there with his girlfriend. This is what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I was like, welcome in. I gave them some recommendations for drinks. I told them about the restaurant. He started talking about the job that we had both done in the past. It was all seeming to go very well. Now, okay, so the whole night is over. We're all wrapping up. I had come to talk to the table. I just checked in with them a few times, like, oh, is your food all good? Are you guys having a good time? You know, it's like, yeah, they were having a great time. Even the girlfriend or the girl he's with, she's having a great time. Like, I made sure to like communicate directly with her. I was hoping like she was getting the sense that I was just like an ex-coworker, because like that's literally what I am. And so the night's over, I'm in the back of the house and I'm talking to the coworker who was she was a girl who was she was a server for the section that he's in. And she's like, oh, was that your ex-boyfriend? And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, wait, what? And then I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, no, he said that you were his ex-girlfriend. And I was like, what? She's like, so I just listened to that and I was like, oh, she's fucking around. She's joking. And so the next night, this is a whole night later, I legitimately thought that she was joking because it was just like so wild to me. I'm like, there's no way this guy's gonna, nobody jokes about that. Like, you know, that's weird. Like, and then, so I'm like rolling sober. It's the end of the next night. So like 48 hours has gone past since this happened, but it was kind of still on my mind a little bit because it was so strange. So I asked her, I was like, wait, were you serious the other night when you were saying that that guy who came in, did he really say that I was his ex-girlfriend? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, and I said I brought it up to her because she's never, like, I'm kind of new at this particular restaurant, and I'm like, she's never joked with me about anything, so like why would she be joking with me about this now? Like this is not really, it's not funny, you know? Like if she were to make a joke, I would assume it would be about something that was funny. This like isn't funny. It's just weird to joke about that. And she's like, no, I wasn't joking, he really said that. And I was like, oh no, I never dated that guy. Like I haven't dated like anyone since I've been here in Tennessee, and I've been here for like a year and a half. And there's some people who have gone on dinner dates with like every single night, and even then we weren't dating. So yeah, there's no person here who I have claimed since I've been in Tennessee, and I've been here for over a fucking year. And I've had some strange shit happen since I've been here, so we could get into that, but I don't, maybe we'll save it for the Patreon, maybe, but also they're just so, the situation is so weird, I don't even want to talk about them. I think it's just more beneficial to just brush past them and to just like talk about the lessons I've learned from them, which I've talked about in other videos. Like other videos that I highlight them for a reason. Like when I say shit like, get a cat, okay? Like your cats actually love you because they depend on you for food and shelter. And that is a sort of love that is not conditional. It's like unconditional love. And when you have felt that from someone who's not your parents, you need to feel that from a person who's not your parents while your parents still exist in the world. Because there's another thing too. Some people have really great parents who go above and beyond for them, but some people have really shitty parents. Whatever your situation is with your parents, you need that to exist in the world and continue to exist with your parents, and then you need to have like other relationships. And kittens and pets give you relationships that have nothing to do with your parents. This is another thing. If you actually have like boyfriend relationships or girlfriend relationships, like relationships with other people in your age group who are not your family members, they give you this as well. And it is so important. I can't even start to explain how important those relationships are for you. Something I feel like I see happening with like the Gen Z girls, they're starting to like highlight their literal friendships, their like platonic best friend, you know, relationships. Like, oh, she's my best friend, and she really is. Like they're highlighting their best friend relationships in the same manner that people are highlighting like heterosexual relationships or like, you know, lesbian relationship, whatever, like sex, like intimate relationships with, they're highlighting those on the same level, and they're not the same thing. They're not even similar. Like having friendships that are like meaningful friendships with other women or other men in the world, that's a normal thing to have. You should definitely have that, but you can't like conflate that for like the other relationships that you have. Those are different. Those aren't the same thing. And I don't know why we're clumping them all together. That's weird, but that's another video. I want to talk for a second about, of course, a Morgan Wallen video, because I feel like the thing I really like is that there's always someone who's sung about this before, someone who's made a music video about the thing that I'm literally talking about right now, that you can go watch and point to and read the comments of and read the like articles that have been written about it, so that you like understand more context about it. So it's like I'm not the first person to mention this thing and you're like, oh, what she's saying doesn't exist, because there's like a history of it and it actually translates to something else real in the world. So like I've realized this for a while. Someone else made a video about this, how like pretty girls are treated like celebrities. And that's true to an extent, especially, and I want like Black women to, or just women who are like non-white, to like realize that like this also applies to us. Especially, I don't think anyone's here from that like Exoticals channel, but if you are here from there, I just want to say this, like, oh gosh, like being in primarily white spaces, especially like, or like Latinx spaces where like presenting as white is like the dominant thing, and if you are other, it is very hard to understand like the context there, because everyone just assumes that you're going to have the bare minimum. And the hierarchy is already so cleanly established. Like it's like Giselle and Tom Brady are at the top. And I don't really know who I could describe as being at the bottom, but it's the even the bottom ladder of the pole is not a person of color or a black person. It's still a white person, but they don't even have like actual identifiers for people of color yet because they're so far and few between and not well respected. So it's like the dehumanization of people. That's where people of color are still. So as a person who's not a part of that at all, if you are coming from that, at least start wherever the fuck I am. I don't know where I am on this pole of that, because like all I can tell you is like I see myself as like an African person, a black person, and like I don't know, I don't clump myself into a hierarchy of someone else. Like I don't see someone else as above me or below me. I more see myself in the trajectory of like what I want to gain, what I have now, what I've had, what I've lost, what I hope to gain back, things like that. So it's like a trajectory of like realistic things that I can get in my lifetime for myself. So I'm not even translating this into like, oh, a celebrity has this, so I want to have it. Like, no, something real that like I could get, that I will get, something that I've actually had that I could get back, that I will get in the future. You know what I mean? Like things that are realistic to my life. Going back, so you're probably like, okay, wait, she introduced this for a second and then she brushed over it. So I was talking about this Morgan Wallen video. It's really cute. It's called You Proof, and it's fucking great actually. It's this girl, it's a girl who I guess he's into this girl and she's like a super badass. So shout out to her, whoever she is. But she's like driving a car, and it's clear that she's driving this car around Tennessee, because I was like looking at the background and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like I've driven through that place too. Like, what the hell? I know where this is. Anyway, so she's like driving through this place, and he's in the back seat of the car, and he's just like experiencing all of her shit. She's like, you know, driving through stoplights. She's completely fucking reckless. All of it is great. Like, I am here for all of it. She's like being a total badass behind the wheel. She's you know, she's like driving through shit. Whoever this girl is, I adore her. Like, she is my favorite. I want to ride in the backseat of the car with this bitch, even though it's really likely that you will die. And he is like in this actual situation, and he ends up like opening the door and like floating out of the car, and then a group of dudes from the neighborhood pick him up, so he lives. Oh, fuck, Morgan. We were hoping for more, but yeah. So they end up picking him up and taking him home. But it's cool because the whole song is like he needs something stronger, because he just, no matter what he does, he keeps thinking about this girl. And I just want to like talk about this for a second, about how like real that is. Like, guys are going to be attracted to pretty women. There's not like you know, every guy doesn't have a pretty girl who is, you know, made for him. There's only a certain amount of pretty girls, like a limited amount, right? And all of the guys are trying to get those women. And so if you personally in your life know of a pretty girl, or she's online, or she's doing something, just realize that like the shit that she's doing in the real world is like meaningful, and there's a lot of guys who are after her. Like a lot of guys, all the guys that you were like, oh, he's cute, like he's looking at her. I guarantee you, he's like checking it out, trying to figure out where that girl fits into his roster. I guarantee you that that's happening. Now, he might not actually make any moves based on that, because he has other priorities. But that doesn't mean that he's not thinking it in his mind. And I like the fact that Morgan Wallen made a video about that. So I'll put that video in the description box. And I just wanted to say that tonight. Like, sir, I am not your girlfriend. I don't have to be involved in your history. Thank you.